Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I've got a young lady, a very articulate young lady, who's gone through some really interesting, challenging times of late, and she wants to share her story. Megan Redmond is my guest, and Megan has had a fight with her union and a company, an agency actually in British Columbia. And she thinks that she has been unfairly treated. And so I want to hear her story. And it's an interesting story with an interesting background. Megan um, had social anxiety and ADHD, undiagnosed ADHD, and because of that, she drank and became an alcoholic, and then had an accident, traumatic brain injury, fell 4 stories, hit her head on concrete, and the ADHD because of that got worse. She was in hospital, and then she got a job working with developmentally challenged people as a care worker, and then was terminated. And she contends that her termination was unjust because they didn't make appropriate
Accommodations.
accommodations for her mental health challenges because of her ADHD and because of her traumatic brain injury. And then she had a 6-day trial, 70 hours of testimony, and initially lost, and then appealed, and got some settlement, and is now of the opinion that the union has really mistreated her. Megan, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Megan, let's start chronologically, if we could. So,
Yeah.
you were a high school student and you had social anxiety, is that correct?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
what happened?
Um, I was the last person to drink. I didn't have my first drink until I was 17. And I just always thought life was so mundane, but I also didn't have a lot of friends because when I would try and talk, my lips would quiver and I would just be a nervous wreck. And so when I would drink, um, I would have no social anxiety and I wouldn't, the quivering would go away. So, mhm.
So, you drank to become less nervous.
Yes, yeah. And then I also, it's like things were interesting for the first time, and life wasn't boring. And I actually felt happiness, and I actually felt excitement. And but yeah, then it would backfire, and I would get drunk, of blackouts, and it would be very counterproductive. So
How long did this go on?
about 10 years.
10 years, from
Mhm.
17 until 27?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
And
I
then
got sober in 2017.
and then you
Mhm.
had an accident. Tell us about the accident.
So I I had multiple suicide attempts, and that one that happened in 2017, I jumped off of my four-story balcony, and I was trying to commit suicide again, um, but in the end, it actually ended up saving me, because when I woke up in hospital, my social anxiety was gone and I had no cravings. And it's been that day, it's been like that ever since 2017. Hmm.
I'm so sorry to hear this. Why did you try to commit suicide? Because you were alcoholic?
Yeah, and mm, uh, yeah, I guess it's like you're stuck. You're in your own body and you don't like it and you want to get out of it, but you can't. So when you're struggling with something else, you can usually, it's so hard, don't get me wrong, but you can still separate yourself from it. But when it's yourself that's doing all of the bad, you can't separate yourself. And so I guess the only way is to yeah, like end it. So mhm.
I'm very, very glad that you weren't successful. Um, and this was not the first attempt. You had tried before?
Yeah, yeah, I tried a few different ways. Yeah.
But something about what this traumatic brain injury took away the cravings for alcohol?
Yeah, I have never looked into it, but something switched up in my brain, because it took about 2 years to get normal again, but I was in hospital for about a month and I had no cravings. I literally had no cravings. Like I don't like root beer. So even if root beer is around me, I don't drink it because I don't like it. So ever since 2017, when I came to in hospital, it's been the exact same thing. I tried to quit before. I was not successful. And so
You
uh,
went to rehab, you went to AA, you
mhm.
you tried different things to quit.
Yeah, the psychiatric ward.
You were in a psychiatric ward as well.
Yeah, I was. It was McNair in Kelowna, and it was actually awesome. It was so awesome because you were I remember I was in the kitchen and I was getting it was horrible finding out because I was blacked out when I got in, but I remember trying to get toast bread or something, and this person came up to me and they said, so are you in here for depression? And I said, well, something a little bit more than that, but and no one judged anyone, and it was really they did a really good job in that sense, and it was a community. There was a nurses to check on you. Just everyone helped everyone. We all had challenges, but they just everyone worked as a team, and then one by one um, we would move out, like, because you'd get better and then you'd be able to, yeah, you do your day passes, or you would get to the point where you could just leave and go back into society on your own, which was not good. But when you are in that environment where everyone helped everyone and they were supportive and they're great mentors, the nurses where you could talk to them whenever you were feeling down or having any worries, and they would just give you some advice or, oh, try this or this. And it was a very, very welcoming environment. They do a really good job.
How long were you in the psychiatric ward?
I think a couple months.
Uh-huh. And this traumatic brain injury, you must have had a wound or something with your brain. And how long were you
Um,
unconscious and what happened there?
I can't remember the medical terms for what happened, but my eyesight went. I couldn't really see. I couldn't really speak, so I had multiple eye appointments. But really, what ended up solving it was my brain just the swelling had to go down, and I had to get a speech therapist for a while. But I ended up like I think a year later I ended up volunteering, and I was again that was the battered women's support services in Kelowna, or sorry, in Vancouver. And that was such a good supportive team that I was making more progress trying to stutter and talk with them, and they wouldn't judge me or anything. They kind of knew what was going on, and so I ended up kind of quitting the speech therapist and just having real life speech
Conversations.
therapy.
And
Yeah.
then you got a job in Penticton. No, in Princeton. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. I ended up, my little sister ended up taking me in. Me and my dog were in her one bedroom apartment. Our bedroom was behind her couch, and she was doing a 1 year dental hygienist contract. And so the whole thing was once she was done it, we would both go back to Kelowna. But I fell in love with it. I absolutely fell in love with Princeton, and I got a job as a support worker, and I would not have been able to do that anywhere else. And it was the best job of my entire life, and it was a dream job. I always wanted to help people, but I never was able to because of my addiction. So when that was done and I did what I needed to do to be able to go back into society, I hit the ground running when I got to Princeton.
What does a support worker do?
So agencies are different, but the one in Princeton, so Princeton and District Community Services Society, they help adults with developmental disabilities with more simple things. So grocery shopping, or I remember there was a fun shift, and so that was, okay, what kind of crafts can we all do together? And church, we'd go to church together every Sunday. And they would go to different churches, so you kind of manage that. And you just kind of, you did some cleaning as well, so kind of more on the carry type side. Um,
And how long did you do that for?
a year.
A year. And then you were let go?
Yeah, yeah.
And why were you terminated?
So there was a client of concern. Her name was Marilyn, and I saw some things that I don't think were right. I know she was, when I would do fun shift with her, is what we called it. She wouldn't have fun. She wouldn't want to participate. And so it would have been kind of cool to spend more time with her and figure out what she is into, and how can we incorporate that. And so, sorry, what was your question?
Why were you terminated? What was the justification that they had to terminate your employment?
So, so I tried to work within the internal, I tried to work internally with PDCSS, to kind of come up with different ways we could help Marilyn. I thought she was slowly committing suicide. She was being, she was having issues that were really preventing her from doing activities, and so she had to be inside a lot, and she was just having a lot of challenges, and so I tried to kind of talk to management about it. At one point, I did write an email to the executive director saying that my one-on-one time was all of a sudden taken away. And usually if your one-on-one time with the support worker is taken away, it's because that client, so say Marilyn, asked them to. But I never had a conversation with Marilyn. And so all of a sudden I have a supervisor right after I had kind of been trying to work with them saying, nope, you're done. You'll never spend time with her again, like never help with anything. And so I emailed the executive director kind of voicing what had happened. And then I was terminated before I knew it.
So you objected to the way they were dealing with Marilyn, and they objected to the way you were dealing with Marilyn, and your objection, and they terminated you.
Yeah, and they did say some things too that they brought up things, and I mean those things, they were true. Like I took longer with paperwork. I did need extra time to read, like, say, the client binders. And so they turned it all on to that. And I said, well, wait a minute, if you guys are terminating me for those reasons, I've been asking for help during the year. If you wanted me to be at a different level, then I've been asking for help this entire time. And so it was kind of two things against me. And I just didn't understand that. I don't know why we couldn't have open, honest conversations about Marilyn, about myself. It just did not make sense to me.
So then you objected to the union, is that correct?
So then My coworker Tammy was the shop steward at the time, and so we did a grievance and we labeled it wrongful termination and failure to accommodate. The employer does have a legal duty to accommodate employees with disabilities, like mental disabilities, such as my ADHD and brain injury. And but then the union representative, Morena Taylor, she just, as if we hadn't even wrote that down, she completely disregarded the failure to accommodate issue, and she just went on the issue of the unjust termination. And when I would send her evidence of that, of the failure to help me out to accommodate, she would completely disregard it, and she would think I was being difficult, and then she would be yelling at me, and
She would yell at you.
she would yell at me. Yeah, I have. Yeah, yep. Yeah.
and then what led to this 6-day tribunal? You objected to this, or what happened next?
So I ended up doing an internal like complaint saying to, her name was Barb. She was the boss of Morena. And I said, you know, I have all of this evidence and Morena is disregarding it. And like anything I'd said about Marilyn, anything I'd said about myself, she just didn't want to hear it. And I said, I don't think this is right. She's missing this whole component of my termination, that like the employer has their legal duty to accommodate, and why isn't she even addressing it? And that she's yelling at me and saying I'm difficult, and I don't think this is appropriate. And so Barb ended up assigning me 2 new union reps. During the hearing, she claimed it was due to scheduling conflicts, but either way, I got the 2 new union reps. They determined Princeton Community Services Society did fail to accommodate me, as well as they got me like a settlement, but they,
With the organization.
yeah, yeah.
And was it a attractive settlement, or
No, it wasn't. It was double what, so it was 4 grand. So Morena,
$4,000,
4,000.
which is the severance that you effectively got, the settlement and a severance payment?
I believe so. And when we did the document disclosure during, like, before the hearing, they had internal emails about saying that you should do a settlement with Princeton Community Services, saying, okay, she can sign this, but then offer her 10,000, because otherwise she can go to the BC Human Rights Tribunal and she can show that they did discriminate against her, and she most likely, or sorry, I shouldn't put words in anyone's mouth, that they said that I have a good claim that could be successful. But I didn't get any of that information till years later. And so I was thinking,
So you
well,
settled for the 4,000.
yeah,
And then how did you get this information afterwards?
so after that happened, I still spoke with the new union reps. I spoke with Barb and I said, okay, I really, really appreciate this, but how can Morena still be a union representative? How many other union members is she treating this way, yelling at, thinking they're difficult, when they're literally just trying to show her that the employer hasn't been helping them out, has not been addressing their accommodation issues, and all they want to do is be a good worker. But she didn't seem to understand or grasp that. And I just can't imagine how many others were wronged and didn't have the time or energy to do an internal complaint, but
But
also,
somehow you got access to internal documents.
yeah, so during the document disclosure step,
The
um,
document disclosure for what? Was there another step? Was there another litigation? Was there another hearing?
it was for the BC Human Rights Tribunal.
Oh, so you
So,
did go to BC Human Rights. Okay, I apologize.
yeah,
And
we
then
did.
and that's when you found out you could have got 10,000.
Yeah, and they just it was just nope. And then they didn't even they said if I don't accept the 4,000, then they would just throw the grievance out. But then during the hearing, during questioning, they said that wasn't true. So here I am thinking, what is going on? They really aren't, they're supposed to be advocates for people with disabilities, and they really aren't. But also, okay,
This is the BC Human Rights Code or
yeah, the Human Rights Tribunal and then the Hospital Employees Union. Mhm. And they represent so many members in the healthcare industry. And Morena said that I was unfit to be a support worker, despite my doctor literally writing and telling her that I am fit to be a support worker. And she said that the employers, Prince and Community Services Society, could claim, I think it's called the bona fide something requirement, saying that it's not discrimination because I am unfit to do my job. And so she acted as if she was their lawyers, which just makes them even more, like makes the environment even more poisoned, and so that they can be even more discriminatory to many more.
how you worked there for a year?
Mhm,
How long
mhm.
has this whole legal process taken?
So it's been about 4 years. Yeah.
4 years of a legal process for 1 year of working, and you got $4,000 out of it.
Yeah, and it's mainly my fault because I asked for extensions. So that is the BC Human Rights Tribunal is good when it comes to accommodating, because otherwise I would have had no chance at any of this, because I always needed more time.
And
Because
have
yeah.
you been able to get another job?
So I had another job with the John Howard Society, and that was the same support worker for adults with developmental disabilities, but their clientele had they had addiction and substance issues, and so, but I was, what's the word? Kind of headhunted because the executive director, Elliot, at the time saw my experience, the 1 year experience I had at Princeton Community Services Society, and they were getting their first client in Princeton, and so yeah, he thought I'd be a good fit.
And how
Mhm.
long did you stay there?
I think it was year and 6 months, maybe. January, yeah, year and a half.
And what are you doing now?
November, December, almost 2 years. I'm doing nothing because I was terminated from that job as well. And so when it came to Princeton Community Service Society, the union, the John Howard Society, and me being wrongfully terminated left, right, and center, I felt, and no one standing up, no one even caring about Maryland's right. What am I going to do? Start a job and just be terminated again? That I can't do that.
So
I,
what do you think should happen now?
well, so I did what I could to kind of help this accommodation issue, um, to kind of bring it in the open and have it addressed. But the Human Rights Tribunal found the union to not be liable of it. They did, for the John Howard Society, um, they did deny their application to dismiss my discrimination complaint. So So, I mean, that was a good thing, but it's just so hard. Oh my God, since day one with these jobs, my doctor and I would ask for is support and mentorship and extra time for paperwork. And it's absolutely ridiculous that these agencies that work with people with disabilities do not know what their legal duty to accommodate is. I would literally have interviews with the clients, with coworkers, and we would ask them what job they want. And the client would say they wanted a certain job, but they needed probably some sit down breaks. And my coworkers would say, oh no, you have to be a hard worker just like everyone else. So that job wouldn't be good for you. And in my head, I'm thinking, well, they have some physical issues. So I think it can be worked out, you guys. I think we can ask if they can have some sit down breaks because they are extremely loyal and hard workers otherwise. It was just, yeah, it was just
What,
absurd.
Megan, what do you hope happens right now?
I think with it being like it's National um Employment Disability Awareness Month, and I think it's super important that all employers just accommodate employees who need the help. And I don't think they should be put through this rigorous testing and questioning and in order to kind of just get simple accommodations that absolutely do not cause the agency financial distress. I mean, but also if an employee is asking for an accommodation and that employer is having anxiety about it, then just talk about it. That's all you have to do. And so I don't know why when you ask for accommodation, they think it's you against them now. It's just the weirdest thing to me. And so I think it's a good month to kind of speak about this and how it's only you're going to have the most loyal employees if you just have a supportive team that kind of help each other out. You have deficits if you have ADHD or brain injury, but you know what? You have deficits if you have a neurotypical brain because there are things you cannot see that a person can see who has mental disabilities. And so why not just work together? So
Why not just work together? Megan Redmond, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story with us. And you are incredibly articulate, and you present extremely well. Um, I think that you'll do well. I think you'll do extremely well. Maybe you just haven't found your right spot yet, but you express yourself very well. You've explained the situation very well. You present yourself extremely well. You're obviously very capable. And I do agree with you that I think that people have to understand that some people have got mental health issues or disability issues or whatever that might be, and we do have to become aware of and accommodative of different challenges that people have. And I think too often we don't appreciate different challenges that different people have. More than anything else, I am very glad that the suicide did not work. You are a wonderful person. Don't ever think about anything like that again. And I'm glad that you're sober today because I've been close to people that have got alcohol problems, and I know how incredibly damaging that can be to people's psyche, to their lives, to their health, and to their mental health. And so I'm so glad that you've got through that problem, and seemingly got through your traumatic brain injury as well. And I don't see any ADHD with you anymore. You seem very put together. And so good luck and keep in touch. And I'm confident things are gonna be spectacular for you in the future.
thank you. Thank you.
That's our show for tonight, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Good night.